A low hum reverberated through the air, vibrating in Eli Thompson's chest as he raced across the schoolyard, laughter trailing behind him. It was a normal Friday evening in their small town, and the sun cast golden rays across the grass, illuminating the children playing tag, their joyous shouts filling the atmosphere. Eli's heart raced not from fear but exhilaration, his feet pounding against the earth, eager to tag Zara, his best friend. "Catch me if you can," she called, her voice ringing like a bell, hair bouncing behind her as she darted away. Eli's determination surged, and he lunged forward, fingertips grazing her shoulder. Just as he was about to claim victory, an unsettling silence fell over the playground. The laughter faded, replaced by a low, ominous sound that sent a chill racing down Eli's spine. He paused, scanning the skies, the world tilting off its axis as a massive shadow loomed above. "What is that?" Zara whispered, her voice barely a breath. Before Eli could answer, a beam of blinding light shot down from the hovering object, illuminating the ground with a ghostly glow. Panic erupted as the other children froze, their eyes wide with terror. "Run!" Eli shouted, his instincts kicking in. He turned to grab Zara's hand, but she was already moving, her feet flying as she headed for the nearest exit. Then it happened. Before he could process it, the light enveloped a small boy standing near the swing set. "Help!" he cried, arms flailing as he was lifted off the ground, pulled into the belly of the ship. A collective gasp rippled through the playground, the remaining children frozen in shock. Eli's heart thundered in his chest. "No! They can't take him!" Without thinking, he pushed through the crowd, shouting, "We have to do something!" As if sensing their fear, the enormous vessel began to lower, its metallic surface gleaming menacingly in the sunlight. An opening appeared, revealing a dark abyss within the ship, echoing the boys' screams. "Eli!" Zara grabbed his arm, panic etching her features. "What are we going to do?" Eli's mind raced, thoughts colliding. "We can't just stand here. We need a plan." Zara nodded, fear mingling with determination in her eyes. "There must be something we can use. We can't let them take anyone else." General Crone watched from the ship, his alien form towering and imposing, cloaked in shimmering armor. His eyes glowed a menacing red, and his voice boomed through the air. "Humans are weak. You cannot hope to resist." Eli felt a surge of anger. "You're wrong. We're not weak." He stepped forward, fists clenched, heart racing with a mix of fear and defiance. Crone let out a chilling laugh, a sound that echoed like thunder, dismissing Eli's bravado. "You will learn, little one. Resistance is futile." Eli glanced at the children around him, fear flickered in their eyes. He couldn't let them down. "Everyone, listen. We can outsmart them. We're stronger together." The words hung in the air, their impact sinking in as Eli locked eyes with Zara, her resolve igniting a fire within him. "We have to get to the school. We can find something to defend ourselves." "But how?" Zara questioned, her voice trembling. "Distraction," Eli said, the idea crystallizing in his mind. "We'll create chaos. If we can keep them busy, we can save that boy and anyone else they've taken." One by one, the other children nodded, courage replacing their initial fear. Eli felt a surge of hope. "Let's do this," he said, his voice steady. The group began to scatter, fear transformed into determination as they devised their plan. Eli took a deep breath, glancing at the ship hovering above, its ominous presence still looming. "We won't let you take our friends," he murmured, the words a promise to himself. As the children moved, a flicker of red light illuminated the ground, the drones hovering to life. Eli's stomach dropped. "Go! Now!" he shouted, sprinting toward the school, adrenaline coursing through his veins. This was only the beginning, and he knew they were up against a formidable foe. But he also understood something deeper now. Strength lay not just in numbers but in the bonds they shared. United, they would face whatever came next. Eli's heart raced, not just with fear but with the exhilarating weight of responsibility. They were not just children. They were humanity's hope, and together, they would fight back. The air buzzed with urgency as Eli and the other children dashed towards the school. Their breath came in short bursts, adrenaline pumping through their veins. With each footfall, Eli's mind raced, formulating a plan to thwart the alien threat that loomed over their town. Behind them, the ominous shadow of the ship hovered, a constant reminder of the danger they faced. "Eli, do you really think we can pull this off?" Zara asked, her voice tight with anxiety. The fluorescent lights flickered above them as they entered the school, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Eli paused, meeting her gaze. "We have to try. If we don't, they'll take more kids. We can't let that happen." The weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders, but he refused to show doubt. The group crowded around a table in the dimly lit science lab. "Okay," he said, his tone firm. "We need distractions and tools. Zara, you know more about tech than anyone. What can we use?" Zara leaned forward, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The robotics lab has some older models we could reprogram. We can use them to create noise or even act as decoys." "Good idea," Eli replied, heartened by her confidence. He could feel the fear dissipating as their determination grew. "Let's split into teams. Zara, you and me will head to the robotics lab. Everyone else, create a ruckus around the school. Make sure they notice you." "Wait," shouted Liam, a nervous boy with a mop of unruly hair. "What if they come after us while we're distracted? They have those drones flying around." Eli met Liam's worried eyes. "We stick together until we're ready. We can't let fear stop us. We're stronger as a team." He could see the flicker of bravery igniting in Liam's expression, a subtle but promising shift. The children exchanged nervous glances but nodded in agreement, the unity of purpose binding them. As they prepared to execute their plan, Eli felt a surge of hope. The looming ship still cast a shadow, but their spirit shone brighter. Zara led Eli down the narrow hall toward the robotics lab. "You know, I was always scared of this place," she said, breaking the tense silence. "It felt like a science fiction movie in here." Eli chuckled, glancing around at the cluttered workbenches. "Well, now we're living in one. We just need to turn the tables." The lab smelled of metal and circuitry, a stark contrast to the fresh air outside. Rows of robotic parts were scattered across the tables, remnants of past projects. "Over there." Zara pointed to a dusty robotic arm in the corner. "If we can get this working, it can cause enough noise to divert their attention." Eli nodded, his heart racing with excitement. "Let's do it." They set to work, Zara deftly examining the connections while Eli rummaged for tools. As they worked, the hum of the ship intensified, vibrating through the walls. "What if they find us?" Zara whispered, her hands trembling as she connected wires. "They won't. We're too smart for them," Eli reassured, though a sliver of doubt crept into his mind. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. "Just concentrate on what you're doing." Suddenly, the door burst open, and Liam rushed in, eyes wide. "They're coming. The drones are everywhere." "Stay calm," Eli ordered, feeling the tension thicken in the air. "We're almost done." With a final click, Zara powered up the robotic arm. It whirred to life, its joints moving fluidly. "It's working," she exclaimed, relief flooding her voice. "Now we just need to make it louder." Eli grabbed a nearby metal container and banged it against the table, sending a thunderous echo through the lab. "This should do it." As they prepared to deploy their distraction, the unmistakable whir of drones filled the air, growing louder. Eli's heart raced as he exchanged a glance with Zara. "We have to move." Together, they rushed to the door, peeking out into the hallway. A drone hovered ominously at the end, its sensors scanning the area. "On the count of 3, we'll launch the arm," Eli whispered, gripping the doorframe. 1, 2, 3. Zara hurled the robotic arm into the corridor. It clattered loudly, clanging against the tiles, while Eli and Zara ducked back into the shadows, hearts pounding in their chests. The drone jerked towards the sound, its red light flashing erratically. "It worked!" Zara breathed, relief washing over her. Eli nodded, adrenaline surging. Now's our chance. Let's go back to the others. As they slipped through the door, the sound of chaos erupted behind them. The children had begun their diversion, and Eli felt a rush of excitement mixed with fear. They were about to face their greatest challenge, but they wouldn't back down. Together, they were stronger, and they would fight for their friends. The noise echoed down the hall, a cacophony of chaos as the robotic arm clanged and whirred, drawing the attention of the drones. Eli and Zara pressed their backs against the cold metal of the lockers, hearts pounding in unison. It worked, Eli whispered, the thrill of adrenaline flooding his veins. Now we need to regroup with the others. Zara nodded, her expression a mixture of fear and determination. Let's hope they're holding up. We need to figure out our next move before the drones catch on. Steeling themselves, they crept toward the nearest exit, the distant whir of the drones underscoring their urgency. The school was eerily quiet aside from the mechanical sounds, the once vibrant halls now transformed into a battleground. Eli's mind raced, considering their options as they dashed outside. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting the playground into shadow. They could see the other kids, their faces tight with concentration, sprinting around the perimeter of the school, shouting and making noise to attract attention. Eli felt a swell of pride, his friends were fighting back, united in their resolve. We need to get to them, Eli said, urgency in his voice. If we can create enough distractions, we can lure those drones away. Right, Zara replied, her eyes scanning the area for anything they could use. What about the band equipment? The drums and amplifiers might make enough noise to distract them. Good thinking. Eli pointed toward the music room at the far end of the school. Let's grab whatever we can. That should keep the drones occupied for a while. As they sprinted toward the music room, the distant whine of a drone sliced through the air. Eli's stomach dropped as he spotted one hovering too close, its sensors scanning the ground. Quick, behind the dumpster, he hissed, tugging Zara down just as the drone turned its attention their way. They huddled in the shadows, breaths shallow as they watched the drone glide above, its mechanical eyes searching for any sign of movement. What if it finds us? Zara's voice trembled slightly, her fingers gripping Eli's arm. We're not going to let that happen, Eli replied, determination hardening his resolve. We're going to keep moving. The drone buzzed overhead for a moment longer before darting away, its focus drawn to the other children. Eli seized the opportunity, motioning for Zara to follow him as they made a break for the music room. Inside, the room smelled of polished wood and old sheet music, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Eli quickly surveyed the instruments scattered about. We need to make noise, and we need to make it fast. Zara rushed to the drums, her fingers drumming against the surfaces with practiced precision. This should be loud enough to draw them away. She glanced at Eli, her eyes bright with urgency. Help me with the amplifiers. Together, they set to work, hastily connecting cables and positioning the amps near the open window. Outside, Eli could hear the distant sound of his friends yelling, a symphony of courage echoing against the night. Ready? Zara asked, her hand hovering over the power switch. Let's do this, Eli replied, excitement and fear coiling in his chest. With a flick of the switch, the amplifiers roared to life, drowning the area in a deafening wave of sound. The deep thud of the drums reverberated through the air, sharp and vibrant, mingling with their shouts. Eli rushed to the window, peering outside. The drones had shifted their focus, drawn to the chaotic noise emanating from the music room. It's working. They're going toward the playground. Perfect. Zara shouted above the din, her hands pounding the drums with fervor. Let's keep it up. They played, the sound of the drums a rallying cry, encouraging their friends outside. The other children, hearing the commotion, began to regroup around the school, taking their cues from Eli and Zara's distraction. Come on. Eli shouted, his voice hoarse from the effort. This way. The rest of the group darted toward the music room, eyes alight with determination. Liam, panting heavily, skidded to a stop. What's the plan now? Keep the noise going. Eli replied, pointing to the instruments. We need to keep those drones occupied while we figure out how to rescue the kids inside the ship. But what if the drones come back? Liam asked, concern creasing his forehead. Eli took a breath, rallying his thoughts. Then we'll stand together. We can't let fear stop us. We'll fight for our friends. A chorus of agreement rippled through the group. Their resolve was palpable, a tangible force that united them against the alien threat. Eli's heart swelled with pride as he glanced at each face, the bravery evident in their expressions. Let's make some noise. Zara shouted, and the children joined her, their voices blending with the beats of the drums, creating an anthem of defiance. As the drone swarm buzzed back toward them, Eli felt the thrill of anticipation pulse through him. They were on the brink of a confrontation, and together, they would face whatever came next. But then, just as they thought they had the upper hand, the unmistakable sound of an alien voice boomed from the ship. Your resistance is futile. Surrender now, or face the consequences. Eli's pulse quickened, and he felt the weight of the challenge ahead. The showdown was imminent, and they were ready to prove that humanity, united and defiant, would not be easily defeated. The ship loomed above them, a dark silhouette against the moonlit sky, its metallic hull glistening ominously as Eli and his friends braced for the confrontation ahead. The alien voice crackled through the air, dripping with menace. You dare to resist? Your kind is weak and insignificant. Eli clenched his fists, heart pounding as he looked around at his friends. Each face mirrored his own determination. They had come too far to back down now. We're not backing down, he shouted, channeling every ounce of his resolve into his voice. We're fighting for our friends. Let's show them what humanity can do. Zara yelled, her eyes fierce with conviction. The children rallied, forming a tight circle, drums pounding in a steady rhythm that echoed their shared heartbeat. Eli stepped forward, emboldened by the collective strength of his friends. We're not weak. We may be small, but together, we're powerful. His voice rang clear and true, cutting through the static of fear. We'll fight for each other, no matter the odds. With that declaration, the group erupted into action. They grabbed whatever makeshift weapons they could find, sticks, rocks, and even bits of broken furniture. Each child's resolve fortified Eli's belief in their cause. They were more than just kids, they were warriors. Stick together! Liam shouted, glancing back at the ship as it started to lower a ramp, the ominous silhouette of alien figures emerging. We've got this! As the aliens began to descend, clad in sleek, menacing armor, Eli's breath hitched. Their elongated forms radiated an unsettling confidence, but he refused to let fear take hold. Remember our plan, he urged, scanning the area for distractions. Zara, keep drumming. Everyone else, get ready. Zara picked up the beat, her drumming like thunder as it echoed through the playground. The aliens paused, confusion flickering in their alien eyes. Eli seized the moment. Now! Charge! They surged forward, a tide of humanity colliding with the alien presence. Eli felt the rush of adrenaline as he swung a makeshift club, a broken branch, toward the nearest alien. It ricocheted harmlessly off the creature's armor, but that wasn't the point was to show they wouldn't yield. Keep moving! Zara yelled, her drumming a relentless heartbeat, urging them on. Don't let up. The children flanked the aliens, darting around them with surprising agility. They had the element of surprise on their side, and Eli could see it in the aliens' hesitation. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. We're stronger together, he shouted, rallying the group. Just then, an alien lunged forward, its clawed hand reaching for Eli. Time slowed as he dodged, adrenaline surging through him. He could feel the air whip past him, the instinct to survive overwhelming any fear. This way, he yelled, leading his friends in a swift retreat around the playground equipment, using it as cover. Keep distracting them. Liam shouted, picking up a handful of rocks and hurling them at the aliens. The projectiles bounced harmlessly off the armored figures but drew their attention, making the aliens hesitate. Hey! Over here! Zara cried, her voice piercing through the chaos. With a swift beat of her drum, she signaled for Eli to regroup with her. We can't let them reach the others. Eli glanced back at the school where the remaining children were still trapped, fear clawing at his gut. We need to create a diversion, something big. Let's use the playground, Zara suggested, pointing to the towering slide. If we can get it to collapse, it might create enough chaos to help us. With newfound purpose, they dashed toward the slide, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. Eli could feel the heat of the moment, the need to protect their friends burning bright within him. We need to climb, he urged, and the group followed him up, scrambling onto the structure. On 3, we push, Zara called out, her eyes bright with adrenaline. 1, 2, 3. Together, they heaved against the slide, their combined strength surging as they pushed with all their might. The metal creaked and groaned, but finally, with a deafening crash, it toppled over, blocking the alien's path. Now! Move! Eli shouted, and they descended the other side of the structure, adrenaline coursing through them as they raced toward the school. Behind them, the aliens scrambled to regain their footing, confusion flooding their ranks. As Eli and the group rounded the corner, they saw the remaining kids huddled near the school entrance, fear etched on their faces. We're coming for you, Eli yelled, his voice booming with conviction. We're not letting them take anyone. Together, Liam echoed, his spirit infectious. Just as they reached the entrance, an alien figure stepped forward, more imposing than the others. Its voice boomed, "You will not escape. Your defiance will be your downfall." Eli met its gaze, a fierce resolve igniting within him. No! Our unity is our strength. We'll fight for each other until the very end. With a final burst of energy, the children surged forward, united in their stand against the alien menace. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for each other, for their friends, and for the very essence of humanity. As the final clash erupted, Eli felt a surge of hope amidst the chaos. They were a force to be reckoned with, and together, they would show the aliens that humanity was far more powerful than they could ever imagine.